right, fantastic film and a great report. Got that fantastic clip ready? I love it. You picked out a good clip. It fits really good for this report. All right, Marvin, let's do it. Good afternoon. I'm Steve S.H. Walters reporting for Breaking News 500 here in beautiful Vero Beach, Florida. Today's topic is the classic film Cool Hand Luke. Now, before we get on to Cool Hand Luke, if you haven't subscribed, folks, please take a second and subscribe. Doesn't cost a thing, and we greatly appreciate you, and we appreciate our loyal subscribers. Now, without further ado, let's get on to this classic, great prison drama, Cool Hand Luke. Cool Hand Luke was based on a novel by Don Pierce called Cool Hand Luke, and it was directed by Stuart Rosenberg, stars Paul Newman, George Kennedy, and Strother Martin. It was released in 1967, and it was a big success at that time. Now, Paul Newman is Lucas Jackson. He doesn't really know where he fits in. You know, he's a decorated war hero, and he's a good guy, basically. He's a leader in his own right, but he doesn't really realize it. And he's out one night, he's drunk and disorderly, and he's cutting these heads off of a parking meter, and they're falling in the parking lot, cutting these heads off, drunk. And the cops pull up, and they're kind of like, "What are you doing, boy?" Well, they got him. So he gets a prison sentence of 2 years. Now he's going to be on the hard road gang, right? Well, he ain't happy there either, so he's going to escape. And he escapes, but at this time, the prisoners have kind of taken a liking to him. They kind of look up to him. He's kind of a leader, like I say. But he doesn't realize it, but he's just doing his own thing. But he's out there on the run. They don't catch him till about a week later. Now they're bringing him back to the prison. The warden, the captain, is going to make an example out of him in front of the rest of the prisoners. And that's where our clip picks up. Are you ready, folks? You ready? Are you ready, Marvin? Of course you're ready. All right, Marvin, roll the clip.
Mr. Honeycutt?
Get in line, facing the captain.
You're gonna get used to wearing them chains after a while, Luke. But you never stop listening to them clinking. 'Cause they're gonna remind you of what I've been saying. For your own good.
Wish you'd stop being so good to me, Captain.
Don't you ever talk that way to me. Never! Never!
Oh, you're back. What do you think about that scene? Woo! Are they making an example out of Luke or what? Well, the writer for this film, Don Pierce, actually was a merchant seaman. And he became a counterfeiter and a safecracker. And he ended up doing time at Tarvez Road Prison in Florida. And that's where he got the idea to write the story about his experiences called Cool Hand Luke. And before they did this film, they went down there, the producers and some of the carpenters and stuff, the builders for the sets, and they made some measurements and took some photos of that prison just to make it look authentic when they built the sets in Stockton, California. They actually brought in Spanish moss to make it look more southern like it was in Florida and to give it that realistic feel and look. I think they did a great job with that. Originally, they were thinking about Jack Lemmon or Telly Savalas for the part of Luke. Telly Savalas was in Europe shooting another film, so he couldn't do it. And Jack Lemmon was being considered, but Paul Newman approached the producers and said, "Look, I want to play the part of Lucas Jackson. I love the story. I love the script. I want to play this part. And I don't want you to tailor it to me. I want to stretch myself as an actor and do this film." They liked what he had to say. They hired him, and he did a fantastic job. Now, the scene where they were tarring the roads. It was a very important scene where they would get the boss man, get the boss man. And they were running real quick and they were working and they were tarring the roads. The actors actually did that because they couldn't figure out a way to get like stunt doubles in there or other people to make the scene work. So they actually had the actors that were playing the prisoners tar the road and shot it, and they had to do many takes and stuff to get what they wanted. So in the course of doing this, they actually tarred about a mile of that road for the county. So the county got some free tarring by the actors in this film. And the famous egg scene where Paul Newman's going to eat 50 eggs in 1 hour, and everybody's betting on, Luke eating these eggs. Well, they've hard-boiled about 200 eggs for this scene, and Paul Newman only ate about 8 eggs. The rest of the eggs were eaten later by the cast and crew, and the next day, most everybody was suffering from gas issues. And how about that famous car scene where the beautiful girl is washing the car? Well, that was played by Joy Harmon. And originally she almost walked away from that part because they wanted her to do some marijuana to loosen her up and get her in the proper mindset to do this car washing scene. And she said, I don't do any marijuana. I'm not doing any pot or any marijuana, or I won't do the scene. Well, they wanted her to do the scene anyway because she looked great, she had a great body, and she wasn't really that aware of the sexual nature of the scene. She was just doing what they were asking her to do, and she did a fantastic job. Very memorable scene in the movie, and she didn't even have one line. Now, George Kennedy was up for Best Supporting Actor in this film, and the film had got 5 awards and 16 nominations. Well, George Kennedy really wanted that award for Best Supporting Actor, so he used $5,000 of his own money to promote himself to help win the award, and he did win the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. Later, he stated that after he won the award, his pay increased 10 times of what it was before. Now we've got a special treat for you, folks. We've got famous lines from this film. So I'm going to put Marvin back to work, and we're going to give you these. Are you ready? Famous lines. All right, Marvin, you know what I'm going to ask for. Drum roll, please. Thank you, Marvin. All right, folks, I'm going to put my glasses on, and I'm going to do my best impressions of the characters of these famous lines from Cool Hand Luke. And if you've seen Cool Hand Luke, you're going to want to go see it again. And if you haven't seen it, you're going to want to go see it. Especially if I do a good job delivering these lines. All right, first line. I got 7 of them for you. The warden, captain, when he's talking to Luke. And this is a famous line. What we have here is a failure to communicate. Very memorable line. All right. The next line is Luke is in a church and he's escaped and he's talking to God. He looks up. Is that your answer, old man? I guess you're a hard case too. All right, that was another good line. Now we got Luke talking to a prison guard as they're about ready to put him in a hot box. And he really doesn't deserve to go. Go on, it's your job. Don't make it right, boss. All right, next line. Drag line, which played by George Kennedy. When the beautiful girl's washing the car. Hey, Lord, whatever you do, don't strike me blind for the next couple of minutes. Well, he was loving the scenery. All right, and now this is a great scene where Luke's mom comes to visit him in the prison. And her name is Arletta, and she's talking to Luke. Luke's mom, Arletta, says, "Oh, I had me some really good times. Your father, Luke, he wasn't much for sticking around, but damn it, he made me laugh." Okay, and drag line to Luke after they're making this bet about the eggs, and of course, he's supporting Luke. So he says to Luke, Luke, why did you have to say 50 eggs? Why couldn't you say like 35 or 39? And Luke says, well, it seemed like a nice round number. And our last line. Luke is back talking to God again. And he says, hey, old man, I got to tell you, I started off pretty strong and fast, but it's beginning to get to me. What do you got in mind for me now? Where do I go now? Well, that's Cool Hand Luke. You can see it on Internet Archives, Amazon, Prime Video, and a few other places. It's out there. Great film. It's a classic, and it still stands strong today. Well, hope you enjoyed this look back on Cool Hand Luke. And from Marvin and my staff, we want to hear your comments in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.